Hi everyone, welcome to the second lesson in my series on teaching you how to program in MetaTrader. If you remember last time we did a simple Hello World script, and what I'm going to do today is build on that script, teach you some new things, and so if you remember last time we learnt how to open up the meta editor just by clicking this button here, so we do that and up it comes. So now I've already got my first script that brought up, but if you don't have it up, then what you need to do is you can you can navigate the scripts here and double click on these things to bring them up. So that's how you find scripts, any script here, double click on it to bring it up. Okay, so here's our script. If you remember, it was something along the lines of saying the symbol and hello world. Okay, just to remind you what it does. If I drop it into a chart, my first script, so it's gold, hello world. Okay, so that's what it does at the moment, but not very useful. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to a new concept now, which is the variable. So what I'm going to do is write some code, and I'll tell you what it does. Int num orders. Okay, first thing, you notice that at the end of each line, you have to put a semicolon. This tells the compiler that you finished a line, and you need that there for the compiler to understand what you're doing. So what this is, num orders is a variable. So what it is, you can think of it as like a little box in which you can store information. And then the bit that goes before it, in this case int, that's short. That means integer, which is it's not a counting number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can't have 1.4 or anything like that. It has to be a whole number. So what it says, make a little box, and we're going to call it num orders, and we're only allowed to store counting numbers in it. Okay, so that's what that statement does. Okay, so now how do we put something into our box? Okay, so what you do, you see when you start typing, it comes up with a prompt to tell you what it thinks you might be typing. So you can select what it's prompting by hitting the enter key, like that. So it's the num orders. If I do this, then that puts the number 10 in my box. Okay. So that's how you put things how you store things in your variable. It's called assigning to the variable. Okay, so now that's the first concept is variables, making little boxes. The second concept I want to introduce is the function. Okay, so I'm going to write some code. Again, it's prompting me. I want orders total. Now you can recognize a function because it has these brackets after it. Okay. And what a function is a bit of code that's somewhere else. Okay, so what this says is go to the bit of code that's called orders total. Execute that bit of code, so you run it, and then it brings back an answer. And as you can probably guess, the answer that it's bringing back is the total number of orders that you have open at the moment. Now you need to understand that for MetaTrader, an order is not just a pending order, it's also an open position. Okay. So what this line is now saying is go and execute the function that's called orders total, bring back the total number of orders that there are, and put it in my box, which is called num orders. Okay. So very straightforward. And then what I'm going to do now is print out the total number of orders. Okay. So total number of orders equals num orders. Okay. So as we explained last time, in the alert thing you can put as many number of things as you want there, separated by commas, and so I'm going to print out the total number of orders equals and the num orders. Okay. Now one other thing I want to point out is that this function here, orders total, if you want to find out more about it, you put your cursor over orders total and hit the F1 key, and what that does it brings up the help file for that particular function. So this tells you all you need to know about orders total. And if you look down the left hand side, you've got an index of all the different functions and global variables, system variables, which I'll explain about in due course, that there are. So you can find everything that you might want to use in MetaTrader all in this box there. Okay, so there we are. That's our code. Let's compile it. You see there's no error messages. Now I just want to show you what happens if you do have an error message. Remember I said how it's important you have these semicolons. Let's take away that one there and try and compile it again. You see there's now some errors, these red error symbols and saying semicolon expected, so we can put the semicolon in. Now, as you get more experience, you'll come to recognize what the compiler messages mean, and so you'll soon be able to correct it, but it generally means you've written something wrong if you're getting a compiler message. So there's our code. Let's excuse me, let's try it out. So we've dropped my first script in there. Total number of orders, 0. Not surprising, since I'm not actually working any orders at the moment. Okay, so let's just put some orders in, just for the sake of demonstrating this. Let's put some limit orders either side of the market there. So I've got 4 orders now. Drop in my first script. Let's do that again. There we are. Total number of orders, 4. Good, so it's counting that. Now there's one other thing I want to point out, which is that the function orders total, if you remember this one here, returns the total number of orders across all markets. It's not just the market that you've dropped the script in. And I'll prove that. If I drop this in another market, I'll drop it in $yen, I'm still getting total number of orders 4. Okay, the symbol I'm getting back is the symbol that in which, for the chart that I dropped the script in. So I dropped the chart in $yen in that case, but the total number of orders across all markets is 4. Okay, so in the next lesson I'll show you how to filter your orders so you make sure you're only looking at the ones on the chart that you've dropped. Okay, so quick summary. We've introduced the concept of variables, which are little boxes in which you store information. We introduced the concept of the function, which is where it goes off, runs some code and brings back an answer. And what I've done there is put the answer in my little variable box, and then we printed out the thing. So still not very useful, but as we build up this code, we're going to end up with something that's actually going to be useful and you want to use. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson. I hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions about anything, then just put it in the forum and I'm happy to answer it. Okay, bye for now.